What up, ADD fam? So I just passed Lockheed Martin, which is Dobbins Air Force Base. It started out Dobbins, and somewhere along the line it incorporated Martin. Now it's Lockheed Martin. I just passed it. John Benet Ramsey's father used to work there. That's where he worked, started out. At that Lockheed right there, that's Lockheed Martin. He works for Lockheed Martin. He's way high up. If you don't know the story, this little girl, John Benet Ramsey, was murdered, and her parents were way high level Satanists, and they either killed their little girl or know who did. They had some kind of satanic service over there. It was on Christmas Eve, Christmas morning. It was in 96, and in 1996 she was 6 years old. There was a bunch of numbers to it, right? It was like a number code murdering. And so John Benet Ramsey was this little girl who was murdered by her parents. So if you're not familiar with it, look it up. It's one of the biggest cases, the Ramsey case. It's like, if you don't know, it's one of the biggest, one of the biggest stories to go in the country was the John Benet Ramsey murder. So you could look it up if you don't know anything about it, that much about it. Anyways, they're from here, right? The lady that got me put on the 5 o'clock news, okay, I've told the story, was this lady I met through this contact, through this guy. I told the story. This guy gave me a bunch of leads. This very large screened-in porch guy, right? I can't think of his name, but he's renowned, known. I've told the story. Anyways, I met this lady through those leads I got from that guy, right? This is the lady that called the news station because I didn't finish her job. She's the one that got me slandered on the 5 o'clock news, right? But before she got me slandered, we talked, and get my phone back, right? We talked for some time before I did the job, right? Her office was right at 285 in Roswell Road. If you've watched my stories, you should know it's right next to the American Pie. This is where this lady's office was. I go to meet her one day, and she tells me what all she needs done, a couple of different things. And she's telling me about the Ramseys. They were her neighbors. She told me that it was no surprise when she had heard that. She happened to be the Ramseys' neighbors. They're from Dunwoody, Georgia, right? So I just passed Lockheed Martin, where John Benet's dad worked and came up. And so, for those that do or don't know, this guy murdered his little girl. All kind of crazy shit was with this family, right? He had his daughter that died. His wife died of cancer. He had another wife. I think she might have died or been murdered. But he had another kid that was murdered besides John Benet with another woman. He's got all this crazy shit behind the father now, right? Like I said, he's one of these elite level Satanists. He was known to, be with the highest ranking people in Colorado. How he got away with the murder, obviously, anyone else would have went to jail and prison for it, but him and his wife got out of it. So I figured that was an interesting story to bring that up. just a couple of years ago now, they reopened the case 20 years later, and people know, anyone and everyone that has a brain knows that they're, elite Satanists and are in this realm of amongst the elite and the politicians, and he bought his way out of it. They were, like I said, elite level Satanists, most probably a Freemason, and in his house has got all these occultic undertones to it, and he's got a black and white checkered floor and all that, right? But like I said, that's very interesting. A lot of people don't know that. Not besides the one daughter, John Bonet, but this isn't the only kid he's had die under weird circumstances. Now think of it, I'm going to look it up, and I want to look into it myself. I don't know a lot about it. I just know that. Like I said, I know he had 2 wives, both died, and the one that he had with the John Bonet, that wife died of cancer. That's not far-fetched. But that he had another wife and another kid died, that's far-fetched. So, very interesting. And like I said, I know this lady that threw me under the bus, but she was their neighbor, and we sat and talked about it for a while, and she used to tell me all these stories that it was no surprise to her, right? So, this could be your neighbor. A lot of crazy shit's gone on right here in my town, right here on the outskirts of Atlanta. A lot of crazy shit. Fred Tokar's murder, he murdered his wife and kids, maybe. He sat in Cobb County Jail. I'm fixing to pass Cobb County Jail right now, just coincidentally. But a lot of shit's gone on through Cobb County. If you look that name, look up Cobb County, Georgia, you'll see there's just been a slew. I've been here for 40 years, right? I've been here since I was 8 years old. So I know a lot of different people, a lot of different shit. And I know some people, my buddy Deezy being one of them, has got family that are in the police department. And this is another one of the reasons that he's managed to stay his ass out of jail and prison, because he's got family members. I took him one day to, one night we had gone and had gotten some crack, and then he goes out. He's supposed to come back and pick me up or come to my house, and he doesn't. He goes straight to his dealer's house, which is the guy that he got the motorcycle from, and he's taking a bunch of Xanax, and he runs into a mailbox, hits a mailbox, gets out, dips on foot in one of these anti-blackout moments, right? Next day, I take him to the police station, and he says, I drive him up there to this Cobb County, not the Cobb County jail, where the most of the shit is right here. We're about to pass it. County Services Road is where everything in Cobb County, the jail, they got like a huge jail, and I heard they got like a small prison. But a lot of shit's gone on dirty here over the years, right? So one day, and I'm just recollecting, right? This wasn't even what I was meant to talk about, but so like these things, they come back to me, right? This just come back to me. So I take Deezy the next day, and we're passing Cobb County to this cop precinct in Kennesaw, and we thinking he's going to go to jail, right? He said, if I'm not out and so, do this and this for me, right? This is County Farm Road, County Services. This is where the jail is. You get your license, and the sheriff, the main guy who's always been over all this, is a Freemason. Deezy's got family members that are up in the police force, and so does Tony. Not the drug dealer Tony, Deezy's friend Tony. Tony was in the jail for like 6 to 8 months, he was telling me, and He was down in the basement. He had a TV. He was able to get weed, cigarettes. Like, he was secluded from the jail. He did all his time in a special privilege because Tony's uncle was a something or other. So I take DZ to this cop station for this hit and run. He hits his mailbox, leaves his vehicle, and takes off on foot. There's no getting out of this. And somehow, once again, he gets out of this. Mind fuck, right? Who do you know who had ever heard of some shit like that? Dudes blacks out, runs into a mailbox, destroys this brick mailbox, leaves his truck, takes off on foot, and don't go to jail. So somehow he got out of that. And like I said, I haven't even thought about that until just now. Crazy shit. Crazy. For instances that are stuff coming back to me, right? So the head of Cobb County's, I'm not going to say his name, and I don't even recall whether it's one or the other. And was known to be a Mason. He's a Mason, right? So my boy DZ, like I told you, he's a huge drug dealer, pretty much, and he knows all the biggest drug dealers in the area, guys that have been, the biggest meth dealers, guys that have, done bids, guys that have paid their way off. These are guys we used to go and get dope from. There was two guys that lived across the street from each other, and they had both gotten arrested for dealing, and both paid their way off. One guy had paid his way out $70 grand. They come in on him and found a mountain of meth, right? Paid his lawyer $70 grand. It was so much for his lawyer and so much for the under the table. $70 grand. He got caught with a mountain of meth and didn't do a day. Never did a day in jail. So this is the kind of shit that's been known to go down in Cobb County over the years. Way back in the day, Travis Tritt's a country music singer, if you don't know who that is. Travis Tritt's dad and Marcus Bagwell is a fake wrestler, buff the stuff, and I shouldn't be saying this, but Marcus Bagwell's dad and Travis Tritt's dad were the biggest cocaine distributors in the Sprayberry Lassiter district in the 70s and 80s. I found this out from a guy I was in jail with, knew him. So finding this out, the time that I went to jail when I was 22. So I've known for that long. And we've all run and bumped into people. Tony's ran and bumped into quite a few people. There's Travis Tritt. I got friends that know him. There's another one. There's a couple other country music singers. But Travis Tritt's dad and Buff Bagwell, the fake wrestler's dad, were huge cocaine kingpins back in the day. And this is the type of shit where people didn't go to jail and were known, right? So, like I said, Cobb County's always had this, dirt. Always. Since way back when. And that's just some good trivia for you. It's kind of interesting. So, like I said, there's been, well-known people that are in the industry and involved in all kind of other shit. The guy in my video, the short clip where I say, tell me about high school, tell me about our freshman year. That guy knows all kind of people, right? Okay, so there's a guy, and he was asked to go and fly in Florida, and I believe him. I know there's people that he knew back in our day. Like I said on the video, when I was in 9th and 10th grade, we did go to the high school we're going to was the largest drug-infested, the most drug whatever per capita whatever in the country at the time. Look it up. So there was huge drug dealers around in those days and time. And they all lived in Cobb County. So that's some crazy trivia. You heard the video. So that guy, he's friends with all kind of people. He knows all kind of people, backdoor dealings and shit, right? There's a guy downtown Kennesaw, and they call him Mr. Willie Billy. I don't even. I'll have to get back to you on that one. You can look it up yourself. There's an old man in downtown Kennesaw, and he's got a shop right there, and it says on the door something, white something or other, right? And it's always been there. In Kennesaw, which is in Cobb County as well, it's like a small town in Kennesaw, in Cobb County. In Kennesaw, there used to be there's an old rule that you have to own a gun. Every person who lives in Kennesaw is to own a gun. So this guy's got these like racist stuff on his door. Bill, God, I feel bad that I don't know his name. Old man Bill, Will, something. You could probably look it up. He's got this shop that's been there forever and ever and ever. And this is the type of people that know politicians, the KKK, the Freemasons, the police, the people the police really answer to. My buddies know these kind of guys. This guy, this old man Bill, Will, whatever, I shouldn't be saying this, you know, he's got these kind of contacts. My buddy in the video, they've done stuff together that I can't talk about, right? That's that serious and bad. You know, these guys know where a lot of bodies. You may or may not have heard of the Chattahoochee River. Well, the Chattahoochee River is where all the bad people dump their bodies, right? These are the type of people that know where the bodies are. Going back from the 80s, 90s, we're talking, you know, people that ratted, guys that were known to rat, were gonna be known to rat, were taken out, right? And these are the kind of guys that know all this shit. Happens all over the world. You just don't see and hear about it. These fuckers see and hear about it, know about it. My buddy was telling me stories that I can't share, and I'd love to. Some great shit, but I can't even mention, can't even say nothing on that one, you know. No kind of description. Any kind of description get me fucked up quick. So there's a lot of shit I can't tell you that I heard that's really fucking cool. But they've been doing, you know, they've been running drugs through Cobb County, these major drug dealers, all these years. And so it finally came to a point where, you know, it's stopped. The FBI come in, GBI task force. But for the past 50 years, up until as of late, all this shit used to go on right here. And somewhat still does. There's a lot of shit that goes on here. I've seen one, I have pictures, and I've seen one Freemason lodge, right? And there's a small airplane hangar on this property. Crazy out there shit, right? I shouldn't be talking about this. This is stupid. So I've seen that shit. I got some pictures of it. But, you know, probably nobody would want me talking about it, so I'm not going to talk about it, but I have pictures. You dig hard enough, you'll find my pictures, you'll see what I'm talking about. I have two things on Instagram. It's my old one, and somewhere maybe in my new one. So it's very interesting. But one of those things that I can't, that I'm not going to speak on. But it's rather interesting. So I know a couple. I worked with quite a few, and they didn't tell me, but I know. So that being said, I can't talk no more on that. It was another one, which is good. It slipped my tongue. So a lot of these kind of dealings and shit goes on, and there's guys up there that they do these backdoor treaties, and this is Atlanta now. There is a lot of good old boys type shit go on up here, right? But there's a lot of country still left. There's a lot of property in areas where nobody can get to. And a lot of crazy shit goes on down here. And I was going to tell one of them, and it slipped my tongue. It slipped my mind. Like I said, this shit just hits me now and then. I have ADD, so it's really hard. I couldn't just sit and think of this shit. It just comes to me, I don't, it's like not, it's like in the back of my brain, not front where I'm, conscious or aware of it. I just remember this shit as I talk. So that's a lot of good history about the crazy shit that's gone on here, that goes down here, that used to go on down here. I knew, like I said, I've known people that got family, they got the right family, and can get shit done and get out of trouble and do shit that other people can't. You may know people like that in your town, in your area. Everybody does. It could be your uncle, your teacher. You never know. I found out shit of the craziest of crazy of people. They're like, huh. I worked for a guy that's a Freemason, and every one of when I was doing windows last year, that guy's a Mason. Every single customer was a Freemason. Every single one. So I know a lot of them. One of them was the head meteorologist for CNN. If you're interested, look it up. You tell me, I'll say, yeah, that's him. Can't remember the name off the top of my head. I used to have the name, I used to have it embedded in my brain. But we kept going to this guy's house as the chief meteorologist. I looked him up because they told me this guy's, he's famous or whatever. This guy's on the news. So I don't watch the news. So I had to dig it up and find out who he was.